Back to literature classes. Here is Abhilasha. Guys, today I am going to talk about the process of communication. In the last video, I had discussed what is communication and some types of communication like verbal communication, non-verbal communication, visual and digital communication. So in this video, we are going to study the process of communication. Process of communication means what are the element, what is the thing that is required to convey our message, right? What are the medium, you can say, or from where we have to start our communication. So the first element that is required for communication is the sender. Sender means, what is sender? Sender means a person who compose a message and information, who wants to convey, who wants to share his or her information, right? So that is called sender. Sender is a person who wants to communicate, who compose his message, who writes the message, or who reads the message, or you can say who sends the message. That is called sender of the communication. So this is the very first step of the process of communication. This is the very first element of communication that is required always to begin our begin our communication, you can say, or to start sharing our information. So sender is a person. He can be a writer, he can be a reader, he can be a speaker, right? Writer, reader, speaker, right? Sender, or you can say composer, right? So sender is a person who will write, read, speak, or compose the message. And he targets a person whom he wants to deliver that message, whom he wants to convey that message. So sender, whom he targets to receiver. Whom he targets? He targets to receiver. Receiver is the person who receives the information from sender. Receiver is the person, you can say, receiver is a person who listens the information, who listens the information, so he can be a listener, right? He can be a listener, he can be a reader, he can be a listener, he can be a reader, or he can be a, you can say, he can be an audience, right? Or he can be a reader. ठीक है, तो रिसीवर जो मैसेज को इंफॉर्मेशन को रिसीव करता है. रिसीवर मतलब who receives the information, who listens the information, or who reads the information after getting it, after receiving it. ठीक है. The next element that is required in the process of communication is encoding. What is required to communicate? Encoding. Encoding means, what is encoding? Encoding means when a sender tries to compose his message, tries to write his message, either he writes in a language, you can say, either he writes some particular language, or he use some pictures, he use some graphs, visuals, etc. Right? So he encodes the message. Encoding is directly done by the sender. Encoding is directly done by the sender. Encoding means when he transmits, or you can say he turns his message into pictures, graphics, or any other thing, right? Symbols. Like the sender is, you can say, English speaker or Hindi speaker, or in any other language he speaks, right? So if he knows in which language the other person is able to understand, then he will write the information in that manner. Like whenever we write emails, what we do for our professional you can say for our professional purpose, what we do, we write the message in English. And whenever we are trying to communicate or we are sharing any thought or idea to our personal people, then it is not mandatory always that we are using that the same language, the English language. No, because we are not talking professionally. We are talking in a personal, in person, or you can say in somebody who is not belonging to your professional area, right? So at that time we are not going to change our language. In which language we are comfortable to communicate to that person, we use that language, right? So encoding is the process where a sender encodes the message, he transmits the message, he turns the message into the receiver's language, you can say, or into the target language, so that the receiver could be able to understand, and that can be a formal language, right? So the third is message. Message means the information that he needs to communicate, that he needs to convey, that he wants to share. So message is basically thought or idea. Message is basically, you can say, thought or idea that he wants to share. Message is the thought or message is the idea. Next is this is the third element of communication. The fourth is channel. Channel means the medium, the way through which we are going to share our ideas, we are going to convey our ideas. Channel is the medium, the way. The fourth is, so channel means the medium or the way. Yeah, you can say mode of communication, right? Now, the fifth element of communication is receiver. I already told you that sender is targeting always whom he is targeting. He is targeting receiver, right? After receiving the message, what he does, what he needs to do, that is decoding. Decoding is a process that is done by receiver. Decoding means when he reads the message, when he tries to listen the message, when he tries to understand the message into his or her own language, that is called decoding, and it is done by receiver. The last step that is required, or you can say that is the element of process of communication, is the feedback. That is the most important part of communication. Feedback means the response, the idea, the information that after receiving it, whatever you got, whatever you have understood, that you have to convey again to the sender. Now sender turns into the receiver. When the receiver will encode the message, he will share the message again, or he will share the feedback to the sender. Now, so sender will be turned as you can say receiver, or the audience, you can say, or the listener, you can say, right? So feedback is the most important part. If this process will not be done, then the communication will not be completed. When the whole process is going to be done, or you can say when this process is being done, at the time there is a problem that occur always to complete our information, that is called noise. It always interrupts to complete our message. uh, Suppose when a speaker is speaking something, that time somebody is interrupting, there is some barrier occurring, that is called noise. It interrupts the whole process, either through the sender side or through the receiver side. So this is the process of communication. The steps: first step is sender, second is encoding, third is message, fourth is channel, fifth is receiver, sixth is decoding, and the seventh is feedback. This is the whole process of communication through which we can communicate. We start the communication and we can end the communication through the whole process. Noise is the interruption, is the barrier that occurs sometimes, and the communication cannot be completed in that way. So we have to just overcome from this barrier to complete our information. So I hope the process of communication would be very much. I hope you must have understood this topic, process of communication.